the baddest man in the room. Sometimes, fighters think they can win the battle before it even begins. They try to intimidate with stares, body language, or mind games. But what happens when they face someone who isn't fazed by their bravado? Let's dive into the moments when fighters try to intimidate the wrong opponent. Nikolay Donov versus Alexander Kardo. Before stepping into the cage, Alexander Kardo made sure to establish his mental dominance over Nikolay Donov. Kardo strutted around with an exaggerated swagger, attempting to get inside Donov's head with his trash talk and refusal to touch gloves. He aimed to unnerve Donov by making him feel small, thinking that mental games would pave the way for an easy victory. However, Donov wasn't easily intimidated. He remained calm, focused, and composed as the two fighters locked eyes for the last time before the fight began. The bell rang, and immediately, Donov's strategic approach was clear. His technique and fight IQ were superior, and Kardo's attempts to intimidate him were rendered useless. Donov's punches landed cleanly, and he consistently pressured Kardo, forcing him into defensive mode. The fight quickly moved to the ground, where Donov's grappling expertise took over. He dominated the exchanges, working methodically to break down Kardo's defense. Despite Kardo's previous attempts to get into his head, Donov remained unflappable. By the time Donov delivered the final knockout blow, Kardo was left dazed, completely overwhelmed by his opponent's skill and ability to keep his composure under pressure. The fight ended with Donov's victory, sending a strong message to others in the division. It's not the fighter who talks the most, but the one who can execute in the cage that ultimately prevails. Muhammad Karim versus Catalin Morosanu. Muhammad Karim walked into the ring against Catalin Morosanu with supreme confidence, thinking that his tough guy persona and aggressive attitude would be enough to dominate. Karim's mind games were evident before the fight even began. He made sure to taunt Morosanu, engaging in verbal exchanges and trying to get under his skin. He truly believed that by getting into Morosanu's head, he could throw him off balance and take control of the fight. However, Morosanu wasn't the type to be easily riled. From the moment the fight started, Morosanu stayed calm and composed, allowing Karim's mind games to do more harm than good. Karim's wild, reckless punches left him open for counterattacks, and Morosanu capitalized on every mistake. By the second round, Morosanu had already hurt Karim several times with well-placed shots. Karim's tough guy act quickly unraveled as he realized that no amount of bravado could save him from Morosanu's superior technique. In the third round, Morosanu's precision paid off as he unleashed a thunderous left hook that sent Karim crashing to the canvas. It was a clear reminder that confidence and arrogance are only valuable when backed by skill. Karim's trash talk had no impact on Morosanu, and ultimately, it was Morosanu's focus and ability to stay patient that won him the fight. Karim's defeat was a harsh lesson in humility. Trash talk can't win fights, but effective execution in the cage can. Dillian Whyte versus Direct Chisora. When Dillian Whyte and Direct Chisora first faced off, Chisora was at his brashest, full of arrogance and swagger. He entered the ring trying to get under Whyte's skin, engaging in psychological warfare by trash-talking and trying to intimidate his opponent. Chisora's goal was clear: to make Whyte doubt himself and to establish dominance with his brash personality. However, Whyte was well prepared, both mentally and physically. He didn't let Chisora's mind games affect his game plan. Whyte stayed calm and focused, sticking to his strategy while absorbing Chisora's relentless pressure. The two heavyweights engaged in a brutal battle, each exchanging brutal shots, but it was clear that Whyte was the more composed of the two. As the fight wore on, Chisora's aggression became his weakness. Whyte's patience allowed him to pick his shots and avoid overcommitting. By the 11th round, Chisora, exhausted from his unrelenting pressure and wild swings, found himself on the receiving end of a perfectly placed left hook from Whyte. The punch sent Chisora crashing to the canvas, and Whyte secured the victory with a knockout. Chisora's trash talk and mental tactics were rendered useless in the face of Whyte's controlled power. The fight ended with Whyte's hand raised, cementing his victory and proving that it's the fighter with the discipline and strategy who wins, not the one who talks the loudest. Dricus du Plessis versus Yannick Bahati. The build-up to the 2017 fight between Dricus du Plessis and Yannick Bahati was filled with bad blood. Bahati, known for his lewd-mouthed personality, went to extreme lengths to try to get under du Plessis' skin. He slapped du Plessis during their face-off, hoping to provoke him into making a mistake. Bahati thought that by enraging du Plessis, he could disrupt his opponent's focus and gain a psychological advantage. However, du Plessis, who was no stranger to mind games, remained unfazed. He didn't react emotionally or retaliate against Bahati's antics. When the bell rang, du Plessis's calm and collected approach allowed him to take control of the fight. Bahati, on the other hand, seemed to have exhausted his mental game and couldn't keep up with du Plessis's technical prowess. In the second round, du Plessis transitioned smoothly to a guillotine choke, catching Bahati off guard. Bahati, caught in the submission, had no choice but to tap out, and du Plessis secured the victory. The fight ended with du Plessis's calm, calculated victory, showing that mental tactics like trash talk and intimidation only work when the other fighter lets them. Du Plessis's focus on technique and composure won the day, sending a clear message. Never underestimate the power of maintaining control in a fight. Jose Doka versus Pena Tracer. Jose Doka entered the fight against Pena Tracer full of confidence, relying on his cocky attitude to mentally defeat his opponent. Doka's pre-fight behavior was designed to make Tracer feel small. He taunted, made exaggerated gestures, and tried to act tough, thinking that by doing so, he could take Tracer out of his comfort zone. However, Tracer wasn't intimidated. He remained focused and refused to engage in any of Doka's antics. When the bell rang, Tracer took control early, showing that he wasn't there to play games. Doka's brashness and overconfidence worked against him, as he found himself outclassed in the first round. Tracer's superior grappling and submission skills came to the forefront when he locked in a tight anaconda choke. Doka, unable to escape the submission, was forced to tap out. Tracer's composed approach and technical skills were too much for Doka's loudmouth bravado. It was a clear illustration that in mixed martial arts, it's not about who talks the most, but who can execute their skills with precision and focus. Tracer's victory showed that trash talk and cocky behavior only work when the fighter behind them is strong enough to back them up, something Doka failed to do in this case. Manuel Char versus Alexander Pekin. Manuel Char made a name for himself with his trash talk and showboating antics, believing that intimidation would be the key to victory. He entered the cage against Alexander Pekin, trying to taunt and throw his opponent off with his verbal jabs. Char's trash talk was designed to make Pekin feel smaller, weaker, and ultimately fearful. But Pekin wasn't buying it. He kept his composure and focused on the fight, not getting distracted by Char's attempts at mental warfare. Pekin's calm, methodical approach was evident. Char came out swinging wildly, trying to land heavy punches. But Pekin weathered the storm and began to pick apart Char's defense. As the rounds went on, Char's aggression began to backfire, leaving him open for counterattacks. Pekin's clean strikes found their mark, and by the 7th round, he had worn Char down enough to land a devastating left-right combination that sent Char crashing to the canvas. The knockout was a clear sign that Char's trash talk and cocky behavior had no impact on Pekin. Pekin's performance demonstrated that mental games don't win fights. Technical skill, discipline, and focus are what truly matter inside the cage. Char's failure to back up his words with action left him with nothing but a painful defeat. Jason Solomon versus Amatist Chami. Jason Solomon walked into the cage with a huge chip on his shoulder, eager to show off his bravado. He tried to dominate Amatist Chami mentally before the fight even began, shouting, trash-talking, and acting tough. Solomon's attempts at intimidation were designed to make Chami feel small and anxious. However, Chami wasn't the least bit rattled. Instead of engaging in Solomon's games, Chami focused solely on the fight. The moment the bell rang, Chami took control. Solomon's overconfidence and wild approach worked against him, leaving him vulnerable to clean counters. Chami's precision and composure were evident as he patiently awaited his moment. Within just 9 seconds of the fight, Chami landed a perfectly timed right hook that knocked Solomon out cold. The crowd was stunned, but Solomon's trash talk and posturing hadn't earned him any advantage. It only served to leave him vulnerable. Chammy's calm, controlled execution of his game plan showcased the importance of focus and technique over mind games. Solomon's attempt at intimidation backfired spectacularly, and he was left unconscious on the mat. It was a textbook example of why confidence is essential, but it must be coupled with the skill and discipline needed to back it up in the cage. Petra Roman K vs. Federer Sen. Petra Roman K made the mistake of underestimating Federer Sen, thinking that his physical aggression and mind games would give him the upper hand. Roman K's pre-fight behavior included shoving Sen and trying to provoke him in an attempt to break his opponent mentally. However, Sen remained unfazed. The bell rang, and Sen's calm and composed approach allowed him to pick apart Roman K's attacks. Roman K's aggression, which he had relied on to throw Sen off balance, ended up being his downfall. Sen capitalized on every opening Roman K gave him. By the second round, Roman K found himself struggling to land effective shots while Sen systematically dismantled his defense. Finally, in the third round, Sen landed a clean right hand to Roman K's temple, sending him stumbling. Roman K, unable to recover from the barrage, was finished off in the next few moments. Sen's dominance was a clear message. Aggressive posturing and intimidation tactics can only go so far in a fight. Technique, patience, and mental composure are what truly make a fighter dangerous, and Roman K's failure to recognize that led to his quick defeat. Sen proved that mental games only work when you let them. When you don't, they are nothing more than distractions that can be exploited. These are the moments when fighters learn the hard way that intimidation doesn't always work. The ring doesn't care about your bravado. It only cares about who's willing to back it up. Which humble moment was the most satisfying for you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell.